When you see a function that starts with the word is, it's typically a function that's checking whether a certain cell satisfies a condition and will return true or false based on it. When we go into a cell and we type equals is, we actually see that there are dozens of is functions. All of these may be useful to you at some point, but for now, I'm just going to stick with the functions that I find the most useful, which is ISBLANK, ISNUMBER, ISTEXT, and ISERROR. Let's quickly look at our expressions. So we have a 0, we have a blank cell, we have an error div divided by 0 that I got by dividing 10 by 0 because you can't divide anything by 0. We have the word January, and then finally the date January 1st, 2023. Let's give each of these functions a try and see what they return. If I type equals ISBLANK and evaluate this expression, it returns false because 0 is not a blank expression. If we use the fill handle to click and drag it down, we see that the only cell it returns true for is the cell that actually is blank. ISBLANK is really useful when you're trying to count the number of blanks inside of a range. Now let's try the ISNUMBER function. The ISNUMBER function is defined as checks whether a value is a number and returns true or false. So if I open my parentheses, hit here, and then hit enter, we see that 0 returns true because it is in fact a number. If I copy and paste this formula down, we see that the only other value that it returns true for is the date, because remember, date values are numerical values in Excel. Next, let's do ISTEXT, and ISTEXT is defined as checks whether a value is text and returns true or false. Okay, let's try it. So we choose this, close the parentheses, and then use the fill handle to click and drag it down. We see that the only cell that it returns true for is the word January, because everything else, including the error, the blank cell, and the date, are not text values. They're numerical values or error values. Finally, let's go over ISERROR. Typing ISERROR, we see that Excel defines it as checks whether a value is an error and returns true or false. If we open our parentheses, choose the one we want, hit enter, and then use the fill handle to click and drag it down, we see that the only cell that it returns true for is the div divided by 0, because this is considered an error inside of Excel. One important point to note is that ISERROR will catch any type of error, and div divided by 0 is just one type of Excel error. For the full list of errors, please refer to the documentation that I've linked.